While the couple is dining, the husband says, "Oh my God, woman, aren't you eating too much? Look at you with that dress. You look just like our washing machine." The wife is visibly upset, but stays silent for the rest of the day. That night, already on the bed, the husband is feeling bad about what he said and try to make amends. "Okay, dear, I'm sorry. Let's put this nonsense behind us. How about we put this washing machine to work, huh?" The wife looks at him and answers, "Oh dear, I don't think that's necessary. That little piece of rag that you have there you can wash with your own hands in 10 seconds. An elderly couple, Ray and Bessie, are snowbirds in Texas. Ray always wanted a pair of authentic cowboy boots. Seeing some on sale one day, he buys them, wears them home, walking proudly. He walks into the house and says to his wife, "Notice anything different about me?" Bessie looks him over and says, "Nope." Frustrated, Ray storms off into the bathroom, undresses and walks back into the room completely naked except for the boots. Again, he asks, a little louder this time, "Notice anything different now?" Bessie looks up and says, "Ray, what's different? It's hanging down today. It was hanging down yesterday. It'll be hanging down again tomorrow." Furious, Ray yells, "And do you know why it's hanging down, Bessie? It's hanging down because it's looking at my new boots." To which Bessie replies, "Shoulda bought a hat, Ray. Shoulda bought a hat." Billy Bob was walking down the street and up pulls Bubba in a brand new pickup. Billy Bob asks Bubba where he got the new truck. "Well, I was at the dance on Saturday night, and this really good-looking girl starting tell me about her brand new pickup and asked me if I wanted to go for a ride in it. I told her I would. We went out of town on the highway, and then she pulled off on a dirt road, and then she pulled off into the woods. She got out of the truck and took off all her clothes and said, 'Bubba, you can have anything you want.' Billy Bob said, 'That was really smart of you, Bubba, because those clothes never would have fit you.'" A doctor and his wife were having a big argument at breakfast. Things in the bedroom. Jim hadn't been good for a while, so they were going at it over that. "You aren't so good in bed either," he shouted and stormed off to work. He began his working day and didn't hear a peep from his wife. By mid-morning, he decided to make amends and phoned home. After many rings, his wife picked up the phone. "What took you so long to answer?" "I was in bed." "What were you doing in bed this late?" "I was getting a second opinion." In a rural farming segment, a city-based TV reporter headed out to the countryside to interview a local farmer about the causes of mad cow disease. She hoped to get a scientific theory, but she got something entirely different. Interview begins. Reporter, smiling professionally. "I'm here to learn about possible causes of mad cow disease. Do you have any ideas?" Farmer, nodding slowly. "Well, ma'am, sir, did you know a bull only gets to mount a cow once a year?" Reporter, awkward chuckle. "Okay, interesting. But how is that related to mad cow disease?" Farmer, "And did you know we milk cows twice a day, every single day?" Reporter, a bit flustered. "Yes, okay, but could we stay on topic?" Farmer, grinning. "I am on topic, ma'am. Just imagine this. If someone played with your boobs twice a day and only slept with you once a year, wouldn't you go mad too?" Interview over. The segment was never aired. A husband with 6 kids thought he was clever. Instead of using his wife's name, he started calling her Mother of 6. At first, she laughed it off, thought it was cute, but over the years, the novelty wore off. Every day, "Mother of 6, what's for dinner? Mother of 6, grab me a beer." She rolled her eyes so much they almost got stuck. Then one night at a party, he raised his voice across the room and shouted, "Hey, Mother of 6, time to head home." Without missing a beat, she shot back just as loud, "Be right there, Father of 4." The room went dead silent, and that was the last time he ever forgot her name. Mother Superior tells two new nuns they have to paint their room, but they must not get any paint on their clothes. One of the nuns gets an idea. Let's just take off our clothes, fold them up nicely, and lock the door. No clothes, no paint stains. So that's exactly what they do. They start painting away, having a great time. Then suddenly, knock, knock. From outside the door, a voice says, "Blind man." The nuns pause. One says to the other, "Well, if he's blind, he won't see anything anyway, right?" The other nods. They open the door. In walks a guy with a big grin. "Nice rack. Now, where do you want me to hang these blinds?" A big-shot attorney ended up in the hospital for a few days, and he quickly became a nightmare for the staff. He treated the nurses like they were his personal assistants, barking orders and complaining about everything. None of the hospital staff could stand him. But the head nurse? She was the only one who wasn't afraid to put him in his place. One day, she walked into his room with a mission. "I need to take your temperature," she announced. He immediately started grumbling and whining for a solid 5 minutes, but eventually he crossed his arms, opened his mouth, and gave in. "No, sorry," the nurse said. "I can't use an oral thermometer for this reading." More complaints followed, but after a while he rolled over and exposed his backside with a dramatic sigh. Once the thermometer was inserted, the nurse smirked. "I need to get something. You stay just like that until I get back." She left, making sure the door was wide open behind her. The man fumed in embarrassment as people passed by, laughing. 20 minutes later, the doctor came in, looking around with confusion. "What's going on here?" he asked. The attorney, red-faced and frustrated, snapped. "What's the matter, Doc? Never seen someone get their temperature taken?" The doctor paused, then, with a straight face, said, "Not with a daffodil." The man froze. What?" The doctor just shrugged and walked out. The nurse had really outdone herself this time. A guy walking down the street sees a beautiful nun with perfect melons. He says to her, "Hey, sister, would you let me bite your melons for $100? "Are you nuts?" she replies, and keeps walking. He turns around, runs around the block, and gets to the corner before she does. "Would you let me bite your melons for $1,000? He asks again. "Listen, you, I'm not that kind of nun, got it?" So the guy runs around the next block and faces her again. "Would you let me bite your melons just once for $10,000? She thinks about it for a while and says, $10,000, eh? Okay, just once, but not here. Let's go to that dark alley over there." So they go into the alley, where she takes off her robe to reveal the most perfect melons in the world. As soon as he sees them, he grabs them and starts caressing them, fondling them slowly, kissing them, licking them, burying his face in them, but not biting them. The nun finally gets annoyed and asks, "Well, are you going to bite them or not?" "Nah," he replies. "Costs too much." An elderly gent was invited to his old friend's home for dinner one evening. He was impressed by the way his buddy preceded every request to his wife with endearing terms. "Honey, my love, darling, sweetheart, pumpkin." The couple had been married almost 70 years, and clearly, they were still very much in love. While the wife was in the kitchen, the man leaned over and said to his host, "I think it's wonderful that after all these years, you still call your wife those loving pet names." The old man hung his head. "I have to tell you the truth," he said. "I forgot her name about 10 years ago." So little Timmy is at the circus with his mom and dad, wide-eyed and amazed by everything. Then the elephants come out. Timmy leans over to his mom and asks, "Mom, what's that thing hanging down from under the elephant?" Mom, clearly flustered, That's nothing, sweetie, just ignore it." But Timmy isn't letting this mystery go. He turns to his dad. Dad, what's that thing hanging underneath the elephant? Dad, without missing a beat, says, That's the elephant's penis, son. Timmy frowns and says, But Mom said it was nothing. Dad grins and replies, I know, son. I've really spoiled that woman. A chicken farmer walked into a local bar, sat down next to a woman, and ordered a glass of champagne. The woman perks up and says, How about that? I just ordered a glass of champagne too. What a coincidence, he said. This is a special day for me. I'm celebrating. This is a special day for me too. And I'm also celebrating, says the woman. What a coincidence, says the man. As they clinked glasses, he asked, What are you celebrating? My husband and I have been trying to have a child, and today my gynecologist told me I'm pregnant. What a coincidence, says the man. I'm a chicken farmer. For years, all my hens were fertilized, but today they're finally laying fertilized eggs. That's great, says the woman. How did your chickens become fertilized? I switched cocks, he replied. She smiled and said, What a coincidence. A worried housewife sprang to the telephone when it rang and listened with relief to the kindly voice in her ear. How are you, darling? She said. What kind of a day are you having? Oh, mother, said the woman on the phone, breaking into bitter tears. I've had such a bad day. The baby won't eat and the washing machine broke down. I haven't had a chance to go shopping, and besides, I've just sprained my ankle and I have to hobble around. On top of that, the house is a mess, and I'm supposed to have 2 couples to dinner tonight. The mother was shocked and was at once all sympathy. Oh, darling, she said, sit down, relax, and close your eyes. I'll be over in half an hour. I'll do your shopping, clean up the house, and cook your dinner for you. I'll feed the baby, and I'll call a repairman I know who'll be at your house to fix the washing machine promptly. Now stop crying. I'll do everything. In fact, I'll even call George at the office and tell him he ought to come home and help out for once. George? Said the woman. Who's George? Why, George, your husband. Is this 223, 1374? No, this is 203, 1375. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I have the wrong number. There was a short pause, and the other woman said, Does this mean you're not coming over? Harry was a poor tailor whose shop was next door a 2-star restaurant. Every day for lunch, Harry would eat his black bread and herring in the small garden at the back of his shop. He would always smell the wonderful odors emanating from the next-door restaurant's kitchen. One day, the restaurant sent Harry an invoice. Harry went to see the manager to ask why. The manager replied, You're enjoying my food, so you should pay for it. Harry refused to pay, and the restaurant sued him. At the hearing, the judge asked the restaurant to present their side of the story. They said, Every day, this man comes and sits near our kitchen and visibly smells our food whilst eating his. We are obviously adding value to his cheap food, and we deserve to be recompensed for it. The judge then asked Harry, And what do you have to say about that? Harry said nothing but stuck his hand in his pocket and rattled around the coins he had inside. The judge asked him, What's the meaning of that? Harry replied, I am paying for the smell of his food with the sound of my money.
An 85-year-old couple, after being married for almost 60 years, died in a car crash. They had been in good health the last 10 years, mainly due to her interest in health food and exercising. When they reached the pearly gates, St. Peter took them to their mansion, which was decked out with a beautiful kitchen, master bath suite, and a jacuzzi. As they looked around, the old man asked St. Peter how much all this was going to cost. It's free, St. Peter replied. This is heaven. Next, they went out in the backyard to survey the championship-style golf course that the home was located on. They would have golfing privileges every day, and each week, the course changed to a new one representing the great golf courses on Earth. The old man asked, What are the green fees? St. Peter replied, This is heaven. You play for free. Next, they went to the clubhouse and saw the lavish buffet lunch with the cuisines of the world laid out. How much to eat? Asked the old man. Don't you understand yet? This is heaven. It is free. St. Peter replied, with some exasperation, Well, where are the low-fat and low-cholesterol tables? The old man asked timidly. St. Peter lectured, That's the best part. You can eat as much as you like of whatever you like, and you never get fat, and you never get sick. This is heaven. With that, the old man went into a fit of anger, throwing down his hat and stomping on it, and uncontrollably shaking his head. St. Peter and his wife both tried to calm him down, asking him what was wrong. The old man looked at his wife and said, This is all your fault, Mildred. If it weren't for your blasted bran muffins and daily exercise, I could have been here 10 years ago. A farmer was driving along the road with a load of fertilizer. A little boy playing in front of his house saw him and called, What have you got in your truck? Fertilizer, the farmer replied. What are you going to do with it? Asked the little boy. Put it on strawberries, answered the farmer. You ought to live here, the little boy advised him. We put sugar and cream on ours. A bum asks a man for $2. The man asked, Will you buy booze with the money? The bum said no. The man asked, Will you gamble the money away? The bum said no. Then the man asked, Well, in that case, I will bring you home with me for a nice home-cooked meal. The bum said, Thank you, sir. That is so kind of you. The man responded, No thanks necessary, as my wife will see what happens to a man who doesn't drink or gamble. A big, burly man knocked on the door of the pastor's house one day and asked to see the minister's wife, a woman known for her charity work and love for the poor and helpless. The woman opened the door and saw the man with tears streaming down his face. Oh, whatever is the matter? She cried out. I come to you today, dear woman, to do charity and good work, said the man in a hopeless voice. Come in, come in. The woman admitted him inside and they sat in her living room. Madam, said the man in a broken voice, I wish to draw your attention to the terrible plight of a poor family in this district. The father is dead, the mother is too ill to work, and the 9 children are starving. They are about to be turned into the cold, empty streets unless someone pays their rent, which amounts to How terrible, exclaimed the preacher's wife. May I ask who you are? The sympathetic visitor applied his handkerchief to his eyes. I'm the landlord, he sighed. A guy suspects his wife is cheating on him, so he comes home early from work one day. His wife meets him at the door in a bathrobe, her hair a mess. Where is he? He demands. Where's the guy who's been sleeping with you? I don't know what you're talking about, dear, she answers. So the guy tears the house apart looking for him. Finally, he's on the 2nd floor in the kitchen. He looks out the window and sees a guy sitting in a Tesla. That's him, he thinks. That's the guy who's been sleeping with my wife. He's so furious he picks up the refrigerator, throws it out the window, has a heart attack and dies at the pearly gates. St. Peter meets him at the gates of heaven. Why are you here? He asks. The guy says, I knew my wife was cheating on me, so I came home early. I saw her boyfriend sitting in his Tesla out on the street. I threw the refrigerator at him, had a heart attack and died. St. Peter scowls. You don't belong here. Go to he. He pulls a big lever. A trap door opens, and the guy disappears. 2 minutes later, another guy arrives at the gates. What are you doing here? St. Peter asks. The man answers, I don't know. I was just sitting in my Tesla, minding my own business, when somebody threw a refrigerator at me. St. Peter shakes his head. I heard about you. You go to he too. He pulls the lever. Another trap door. The guy vanishes. Another 2 minutes later, yet another guy appears at the gates. What are you doing here? St. Peter asks. The man blinks and says, I don't know. I was just sitting in a refrigerator, minding my own business. It's Bob's 15th anniversary, and he forgot. When he came home from work, he didn't notice his wife was all made up with makeup and a pretty dress. Bob asked his wife what was for dinner, but she kept hinting that they should have a date night. But Bob, getting from work, was tired, so he made a sandwich and then took a nap. When Bob woke up, his wife was standing over him with a furious look on her face before she screamed, You forgot our anniversary. Bob realized he just screwed up in a major way, but before he could make amends, his wife kicked him while shouting, "If you want to sleep in this again, there had better be something that goes from 0 to 200 in less than 3 seconds." When Bob's wife woke up in the morning, there was a small box in the driveway. She opened the box and inside she found a bathroom scale. Bob has been missing since Monday. Next time you're having a rough day at work, think of this guy. Bob is a commercial saturation diver in Louisiana fixing offshore drilling rigs underwater. He sent his sister this hilarious email, which eventually made it to a radio station in Indiana sponsoring a worst job experience contest. And guess what? She won. Here's his unforgettable story. "Hi Sue, just another note from your bottom-dwelling brother. Last week I had a really bad day at the office and I thought of you since I know you've been feeling down lately at work. So I figured I'd share my dilemma to make you realize things aren't that bad. Before I get into it, I need to explain a few details about my job. My office is at the bottom of the sea. Yep, you read that right. I wear a wetsuit and stay warm with a diesel-powered water heater. It sucks up the ocean water, heats it up, and pumps it down to me through a garden hose taped to my air hose. It's like working in a jacuzzi underwater. Sounds great, right? Well, everything was going well until my butt started itching. Naturally, I scratched it, which only made things worse. Suddenly, I felt a burning sensation and realized, oh no, the water heater had sucked up a jellyfish and pumped it into my suit. I thought I was just scratching an itch, but what I was really doing was grinding a jellyfish into my backside. I radioed the dive supervisor, but he and the other divers were laughing so hard that I could barely understand his instructions. I had to abort the dive and do a 35-minute decompression stop, all while in serious pain. When I finally surfaced, I was wearing only my brass helmet. The medic handed me a cream to put on my, well, you can guess where. It helped, but I couldn't sit properly for 2 days. So next time you're having a bad day at work, just ask yourself, is this a jellyfish bad day? Life may not be tied up with a bow, but it's still a gift.